June's our born in June, so are you a June baby?
What?
Are you a June baby?
Yes. Birthday being in this.
What should I get her for her birthday?
Ooh, a nice bath.
Did that last year.
And it's like 90 degrees, and I'm like, I'll use the water for plants. I will. Sorry, why am I discussing this? I thought I would share 3 poems that discuss the senses somehow in one way or another from my book, The Periodic Table of Poetry. Yeah, I don't know. They say it in different ways, and so I'm going to go through these and we'll see. And this first one's going to be a long one, so brace yourselves. This one is a bonus one for Sulfur, and it is Smelling Sulfur on 911. I'm a journalist. I can remember the sounds of the newsroom as I finished and write articles from on one of the computers. And I can still hear the sounds of the rustling and rushing towards a deadline. The shuffling of papers is a constant presence where you worked. Hearing that low hum, that din of action and activity is almost comforting to types like me. It was the bass beat of the symphony of our lives. So when you hear the words 911, you think of a number to dial when something is giving you more gun violence on these Chicago streets. You smell the sulfur and the gunpowder, another sense that accentuates the center of the world around you. But on a beautiful day, a beautifully sunny day like today, you come into the newsroom in the early morning, and the sounds of action is yet to truly penetrate the ears of these reporters, with the styrofoam coffee cup in one hand, a couple of pages of edited copy in another. But on this sunny morning, the din was different, much more cacophonous, yet still more rushed and still so hushed. I made my way to one of the TV sets along the main wall as we all were on different channels, showing different bits of news. Suddenly they all seemed to all be the same. It looked like a newsroom was watching a movie as smoke poured from one of the Twin Towers. I tried to make out the voices from one of the TV sets when I witnessed a plane right before my eyes fly into the other tower. I stood for a moment, transfixed like some horror movie addict before I thought of our contacts scattered along the East Coast. I pulled out my cell phone, I speed dialed Mark in New York. He had a meeting scheduled in the Twin Towers that morning, but the phones, of course, were jammed. So I dialed Don, who was in the town there this week, but all was lost to computer-simulated voices, forcing me to leave messages and scramble from afar. As pathetic as we were, we stared at TVs, as most forms of communications were always otherwise cut off to us. This was an attack on New York. We struggled to discover this until less than 40 minutes later, we saw a 2-second-long film replayed repeatedly from a DC security camera that caught a collision course crashing of a plane through our outer rings of the Pentagon. Well, now the story has changed. Trying to get through to Dan in DC. He was in the Pentagon today. Still, the phone still cut me off. So I scrambled for any data, looking for Chicago connections, the Sears Tower, the John Hancock Building. These are national icons that may be under attack. But before we could gain our bearings, only 25 minutes passed before a plane crashed to the ground near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Suddenly, I realized, oh, I know somebody there. I searched and I found Anna's number, but who was I kidding? Those lines would be cut off too. It's a strange feeling, being a reporter and not being able to contact a single person. Being detached from any lead, coupled with a sinking feeling, wondering if any of the people you knew are physically hurt or even alive. As a journalist, you really feel hopeless, like your hands are tied behind your back. We give the news. We're not supposed to feel so stranded. An hour after the Pentagon was attacked, the Sears Tower was evacuated. This wasn't my beat, and I had no contacts, no one to help me through this disaster, so I waited there in case others needed my assistance. I sat back for a moment, left there to wait, thinking about Mark and Don in New York, Dan in DC, and even poor Anna. I'm sure she's not hurt, but they're all now cut off to me. As I said, all I could do was wait. Clear your head of the people. I could hear myself saying to myself, you're a reporter, just break down the details and what you see. Think of the things, the elements of this. Start thinking of this like maybe as another one of your human interest stories. The jet fuel, the drywall, all that paper in those offices, those people trapped, they're all hydrogen, carbon, oxygen. But wait a minute. In Chicago, I think of the sulfur smell when it comes to the gunfire, but the jet fuel is sulfur laden. The burning drywall, a bit sulfur gas. Sulfur's even the third most common mineral in the human body. I mean, I'm a newspaper reporter. I know that sulfur-based compounds are used in bulk to make paper for paper industries. Yeah, I'm a newspaper reporter. Just take a breath and turn your head to the stats. Clear your head of the humanity. The thought of so much sulfur being so much a part of so many details in our lives made me think of the destruction that sulfur was so much a part of today. I know I stayed here to give a helping hand, but with all that sulfur in my mind, suddenly, all I could smell was that burning, and I couldn't stop coughing while I tried to catch my breath again. This was something about making sense of you. This is Astatine. I believe it's number 85. Like you need to know that. This is Astatine. Everything shatters with you, you know. I'm left picking up the pieces after dealing with only fractional amounts of you. I've been only able to infer what you're like by knowing your brethren as everyone around me. I'll just as all the gapers gawk and the delay grows and the decay, most importantly, grows. In your twisted way, you come from the decay of others. And what you leave behind in your wake, more radioactive deconstruction is all around you, slows down to stare until your instability corrodes you down to the basics in this world. And yeah, what's left of you after you were gone was so much more stable than what you were. But it's only after so much of your destruction that we're left with blood dripping down to the streets. So if all I can think of is this continual decay, if that's your contribution, this radioactive short-term flash of decay, well, if that's only you, well, I've tried to learn. I've tried to study these microscopic parts of you to make sense of you. But whether or not you ever leave enough, well, from what you've shown me, I have to keep reminding myself that despite your destruction, despite this decay of yours, I have to keep going. Because when it comes to you, when it comes to what you can do, this happens all the time. So what's more cheerful than talking about, well, you know, when you've got these radioactive elements and stuff, so you have to like figure out what to do with them. This last one is Flerovium. I think that's 114. Anyway.
It won't mind.
I guess I could look it up in the front here, but this is Flerovium. I've had you on my mind. I think you've been trying to reach me since before I was born, since before fission bombs were imagined in the 40s. I could sense you, but then I'd look around me. There would be nothing. Where'd these feelings come from? Since as far back as '98, I would get this tingling feeling every once in a while, and within a minute the feeling would be gone. And then I'd look over my shoulder. There would be nothing for me to see. And now I find that since '09, this feeling now comes at me all the time. At times this feeling, this like a bomb being thrown, going through my body, would rush over me. My bones would almost crumble from under my skin. My heart would race and my legs would shake. And I'd look for any island of stability to save me. But how did I know I was looking for you? Theoretical physicists postulate that there are more dimensions than we can see. Some speak of a fourth dimension. Some talk of 10. So what I wonder is that at these times, when these devastating waves come over me, well, I wonder if it is you coming at me from another dimension. And I haven't been able to make contact with you just yet. Maybe I don't know what's good for me. You make me shake to my core, but I want to know if you're actually the one destroying me like this from the inside out. When I feel this corrosive feeling inside me, I can't control. Maybe I should learn my lesson and keep myself in check and leave the idea of you as just this feeling I think you give to me.